NA1SS, NA1SS, NA1SS. This is Whiskey 6 here, Romeo Juliet, W6SRJ, calling for contact, over. NA1SS, NA1SS, NA1SS. This is W6SRJ calling. NA1SS, NA1SS. This is W6SRJ calling. NA1SS, NA1SS. NA1SS, this is W6SRJ. NA1SS, 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 this is W6SRJ calling. NA1SS, NA1SS, this is W6SRJ calling. NA1SS, NA1SS, this is W6SRJ calling. NA1SS, NA1SS, this is W6SRJ calling.
Whiskey 6 Sierra, Roma Juliet, this is November Alpha 1 SS. How do you read me?
Read you 5x5, Mark. You ready for the first question?
I sure am, and welcome to the space station.
Thank you. Go ahead, Petros.
What experiments are you currently working on? Over.
There are between 200 and 300 experiments at any time on the space station. I've personally participated in one that involves maneuvering satellites inside the space station, and another one that helps grow non-animal protein sources potentially for future use in space travel or on the Earth.
How is the ISS protected from impacted space debris? Over.
We have multiple layers of protection, metal layers that have actually been struck by debris. That helps protect us. Also, when we have something that we know is in our path, we can change the orbit of the space station slightly to get to a more safe trajectory.
What are the contingency plans if there's a puncture in the hull? Over.
If there's a puncture in the hull, we first try to isolate the leak. So we close hatches to find out where the leak is, and then we talk to the ground once we're in a safe position and decide if we're going to try to repair the leak or not. Over.
How important is the presence of amateur radio equipment on the ISS? Over.
It's very important because it actually serves as one of our backup means of emergency communications. Over.
What is your main role on the ISS? Over.
My main role on the ISS is to serve as the hands of scientists on the ground to help them accomplish their experiments and to keep the space station running. Over.
Do you get criticized by people who believe in conspiracy theories? Over.
I've actually never been confronted by someone who believes in conspiracy theories. I suspect talking to an astronaut who actually has the answers contrary to what they believe would not be a good idea for them. Over.
How much free time do you have on a mission? Over.
The short answer is not as much as I would like, but typically all day Sunday is free time and half of the day on Saturday is free time. Over.
What's the most dangerous situation you have been in on the ISS? Over.
My most dangerous situation was yesterday when I had a malfunction in the suit, and to fix it I had to turn off the suit while I was depressurized, basically in space, getting ready to start a spacewalk. Over.
Are your dreams affected by being in space? Over.
No, I haven't had any dreams that were different in space. I have noticed watching movies, though, that sometimes I was surprised when things didn't float. I'm getting used to things floating all the time. Over.
How long can the ISS maintain its orbit without a rocket boost? Over.
We routinely reboost the space station about once every 1 to 2 months. Over.
What do you believe is the most important attribute needed to become an astronaut? Over.
I think the most important attribute to be an astronaut when you're isolated from the rest of humanity is that you get along well with the few people that you're living with. Over.
Do you get informed if you have a family emergency? Over.
Yes, we have the ability to have a private conference with the ground so they could tell us if something happened on the ground. Over.
What does the ISS smell like? Over.
The ISS has a reputation for smelling bad inside, but I didn't notice that when I got up here. My nose is not as good as many people's, though, and I'm very used to it now, so if it stinks, I haven't noticed. Over.
What happens if you get sick or injured during your mission? Over.
We have doctors on the ground that give us advice, and all the crew members are trained on some medical procedures. And if it was a very severe injury where someone's life was at risk, then we have the ability to return home early because the Soyuz spacecraft, we arrived here, stays docked to the space station and acts as a lifeboat. Over.
If we could send you something right now, what would it be? Over.
It would be sunshine and the feeling of wind on my face and the feeling of ocean waves on my feet. Over.
Okay, Mark, that's the last question. Is there anything you'd like to say to the students in Cyprus?
I'd like to say you live in a beautiful place. Take great care of it. From space, the world looks incredible and very fragile. So, and also, it was a very big honor for me to be able to talk to you. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Over.
Okay, school, do you have anything else for Mark?
Mark, we would like to give you a huge round of applause for doing this. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It's a great honor for us as well. Thank you. Over.
I think that was even better than standing in ocean water and feeling the wind on my face. Thank you very much. Over.
Okay, we still have a couple of minutes here. We got done pretty quick, so if anybody has anything else they'd like to ask the astronaut, or if Mark, if you have anything else, go ahead.
I'm happy to take more questions. Over.
Okay, school, any other questions?
Okay, so we have a question from the audience.
Just say, what do they eat in space?
What do you eat in space? Over.
We eat food. I think the question was, what do we eat in space? We have dehydrated food, and we also have what we call thermal stabilized food. But it's quite a wide variety of food, everything from blueberry cobbler to beef patties.
We have
okay, we still have a couple.
Stavros.
Yes, go ahead.
How often do you have to exercise in space? Over.
We have 3 exercise devices. One is a bicycle with no seat because we don't need to sit down on it. And then there's a weightlifting machine, but lifting weights doesn't really work for us up here. So it's like a spring-powered type of thing, but the spring is a vacuum. And then finally, we have a treadmill. And we use bungee cords to hold us down on the treadmill so as we're running, we don't push ourselves away from it. Over.
When will the first person go to Mars?
It won't be me. Hopefully it'll be one of the people at your school. It's going to be a while, and I really couldn't speculate on that. Over.
Do you ever get used to the view? Over.
I'm sorry, say again. Over.
Do you ever get used to
the view? He was asking if you get used to the view.
I think you do. One of the funnest things for me, as I look at things on the ground and do a little research to figure out what I was looking at, is starting to be able to identify what I'm seeing as I get more and more used to seeing things from space. Over.
1 minute.
What do you believe is the future in the next 10 or 20 years for space exploration? What do you feel about the current funding that goes into space exploration by space agencies?
Well, because of my professional field, I would certainly like to see more funding for future space programs. But what I'm hoping to see is that much like we have a space station in low Earth orbit right now, that we end up having some type of moon station, a lunar station that's run internationally, and that we use to do research in preparation for getting to Mars. Over.
Do people get seasick on the ISS? Over.
It's not quite seasickness, but it can be quite nauseating your first week in space. But the doctors can help us out with that. Over.
What do you miss most from life on Earth?
I'm sorry, say again. Over.
What do you miss most from life on Earth? Over.
I miss being able to wake up next to my spouse, my wife, and have a very relaxing morning with no schedule. Over.
How long have you been in space?
Okay, it's time.
Say again. Over.
How long have you been on space? Over.
I've been in space since September 13th of 2017. Over.
Okay, time to say goodbye.
Wonderful day, and thanks very much for the conversation. Over.
Thank you. NA1SS W6SRJ will be clear.